Good evening, maayong gabi. Ania na puta karon sa ato ang regular Wednesday night of the month habit dinhi sa CCTN's Partners in Law, brought to you by the Cebu Lady Lawyers Association. And for this evening, we are partnering with the Legal Alternatives for Women Center Inc. Ako di ay si Attorney Irene Ann Caballes, inyuhang regular anchor. And tonight, we kick off Women's Month. March 1 is always the start of Women's Month. And ang atong discussion karon involves an issue that affects a lot of women as mothers. Tonight we are going to be tackling on the rules on custody of minors and the rule on habeas corpus, protection orders in relation to minors, as well as what the family code provides on parental authority and child custody and other laws. Unya, excited kaayo ko mo introduce sa ato ang resource persons karon because they are very young, they are very beautiful, and they are very driven lady lawyers. Allow me to introduce first Attorney Merle Escobia, or Attorney Alicia Merrill Escobia, Attorney Merle for short. Welcome, Attorney Merle.
Hello, maayong gabi sa tanan, especially sa atong mga suking tigtanaw sa Celia's Partners in Law. And very excited ko here. Thank you so much for having me here, Attorney Irene, and excited ko to have this fruitful discussion tonight.
Joining us also is none other than the unstoppable Attorney Christine Jean Estoy, volunteer lawyer po niya siya sa Legal Alternatives for Women Center Inc. She is with child right now, and yet di gyud ma kuan.
Di mapugnan.
Di gyud mapugnan. Good evening, Attorney S.
Good
We call her
evening.
Attorney S.
Good evening, Attorney Irene. Thank you so much for having me here, and I'm also excited with the discussion that will be happening tonight because this is an issue that is very prevalent sa mga kanang mo dangop og tabang sa amo dito sa law center Inc.
Correct. Kay naagyud na kanunay ang issue
issue
on
of custody.
Dili lang kay support sa mga minor nga bata, apil pud ang custody. Kay sometimes ang custody pagani, di ba, Attorney S, may mahimong bone of contention kung di ka suporta, ari na lang nako ang bata, di ba?
Murag i-hostage na noon ang custody sa bata para lang mo submit sa gusto sa lalaki ang atong mga biktima. O survivors rather.
Okay. So now let's go right into without further ado, right into the meat of the discussion. Let's talk about custody and what the rules provide on how custody should be adjudicated, to whom, and under what circumstances. So, Attorney S, who has custody of children? General rule.
The general rule is that according to the family code, if the parents or the parents of the child are together still, both of the parents have the joint custody and parental authority over minor children.
Over minor children.
Yes.
That is for married
couples.
for
yes.
married couples.
Yes.
How about for single moms or single dads?
For illegitimate children. For illegitimate children, according to the family code as well, Article 176, illegitimate children, the mother should have the sole custody over the child even though gi-acknowledge na siya siyang papa. Regardless if it is written or naa na siyang birth record, the sole custody should be with the mother.
Nonetheless, these are general rules, but the courts will always intervene if an issue is raised before it regarding custody sa mga bata, right?
Yes.
Oo. And the standard, what is the standard yun nga muy basihan sa korte in order to determine who has custody of the child? Attorney Merle?
Yes, ang paramount consideration gyud, ang pinakatanawon gyud sa korte ani is the best interest of the child. So meaning mo ni siya ang kanang material and moral welfare sa child, i-consider ang totality sa circumstances nga kanang ma-okay gyud ang kahimtang sa bata kung ani siya ihatag na custody, whether sa mother or sa father.
And the best interest of the child, ang standard pag yun ana kay what is the most optimum and the least damaging
Yes.
for the child. Okay.
And only for compelling reasons.
But and also for compelling
Compelling
reasons
reasons.
yun. In fact, pwede gani no nga usahay ang state mo
Yes.
mo take over the parental
Yes.
authority under what circumstances. We're still talking about general nga mga koan. When, like for instance, ang bata would be in danger, so mahimo siyang ward of the state.
In the
Yes.
in the showing nga na ay neglect, immorality, not the country to share nakalista, neglect, immorality,
Abandonment.
yes,
Sexual abuse in the
Yes.
home, wailaing alternative in the
Yes.
community, kay wailaing parinti,
Yeah.
no one else is qualified, so then the state will take over and the child will become the ward of the state. Kay maulagi best interest of the child, although that is a last resort, but the state can do that if they find that to do otherwise would be more damaging to the child.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get right down to it. How does a custody case or issue reach the court, Attorney S, considering naa naman gyud unta tay laws no nga dapat naa sa ginikanan unya ang kung ang ginikanan illegitimate, ang naay parental authority ang mama, so siya gid mo decide including on the issue of custody sa bata. But somewhere along the way, the custody of children could be somehow not somehow disputed. So how does a custody case start?
Usually, what will happen is that if ever the custody is being questioned or disputed by someone who already has the custody of the child or feels like naadjud sa ilaha dapat ang bata, because they feel that the mother, let's just say that the mother is unfit to exercise parental authority or to have the custody of the child. There are two ways so far. Naatay kanang habeas writ of habeas corpus, and we also have permanent protection order under the RA number 9260, or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children.
And but kaning habeas corpus, this happens when the child is not in the custody of his or her customary custodians. Like for instance, na ay bata nga somehow nawala from the custody of the mom and dad, ning layas ni adto to, could be to a stranger, a third party, unya dili uli sa third party or mingon ang third party wa diri pero daghan kay makasultingan naa dinha, so ikiha og habeas corpus. So what does habeas corpus mean?
Produce the body.
Produce the body.
the body.
To whom the writ is issued by the court, so it is produce the body to the court. Pas ra bagyapon ni ang habeas corpus?
Yes, actually, once mo file ka sa habeas corpus, there are only naay notice of preliminary conference diretso, and then after that the respondent is allowed to reply upon verification, allowed to reply within 5 days, and after
Non-extendable na siya.
yes, once mo expire na either makareply ka or the social worker will work on the case to check on the case para once magsugod na ang hearing.
So ma-involve ang social worker, kuan pa, maka-visit pa sa
O mag-case study pa din sila actually. Unsay kanang kahimtan sa bata, o ngano ing ana ang sitwasyon nga niabot.
And on that note, a writ of habeas corpus, much like a temporary protection order, can even be issued immediately.
Yes.
It can be issued immediately, but of course afterwards there is a hearing on the proper custody of the
Permanent custody
of the child. Now, usually I notice kading mga writs of habeas corpus says dinha na when it comes to the child, dinha na i-file kung pananglitan ang present custodian sa bata dili parents kung parents naa may kuan or kung parent man gani dili siya ang illegitimate mother.
Yeah.
Kay ang customary custody wala gani sa katungakuan habeas corpus mo i-file, and then the respondent is ordered actually to produce the body before the court, the body of the child before the court, so that the court can say okay naa dinha ang bata. Ang respondent has to bring the child before the court, and the petitioner can see nga naa diha ang bata. It's also in the past, I've noticed that it's been used when patients are held in confinement sa hospitals for non-payment of the bills. But since naa na gyud, naklaro na gyud to nga dili na pwede i-hold ang patient even though kanang fit for discharge na naman gyud na law na ang hospitals would have not been resorting to that practice anymore. Recently. Although naagyapon gyud ang mga pagkaikog sa mga pasyente nga di man mi pagawson sa hospital kundi may makabayad sa bill, pero once may explain na to dili pagawson jud mo anak kibaw na sila nga dili mo ma-hold. Pero kung what if ang parents mismo mo'y inawayay. We are all, although kanang bag-uratan na human sa tong love month February, we know that not all love and marriage stories have happy endings. So sahay naapag yun na yung mga messy endings. Kung naana na yung mga anak, ang subject of the children become messy. Messy also, it's a
usually ang bata ang
matunga awayan sa mama o papa. Karon, if it's just a matter of custody can they resort to the barangay first? Kung custody lang sa gyud ang pagahisgutan.
The barangay protection order mo cover na magud ni siya sa tanan like custody, support, and protection. Maybe pwede ka maka-raise sa barangay nga gikuha ang bata sa imuha.
Yes, or if you want to go to the barangay without even making it an issue of violence against women, you just want to settle on the issue of custody, then you can go to the barangay for possible conciliation regarding custody, because it could be as simple as
nag-away lang gani, di ba?
Nag-away mo, and then now moingon nga, huy, ngano di naman ko makakita sa akong anak over the weekend. Sa una pwede man ko nga mag-weekend ang bata sa ako. Nganong karon kada bisita nako ang bata naagi someplace else to go, so limited rami to 1 hour, and then dali na kay manglakaw, so di ko kabanding sa ako ang anak. The non-custodial parent could raise that as an issue. So if it's not a matter of violence against women, barangayable pa.
Yes.
Kung custody lang yun. In fact, I have come across some instances also nga, it's not even the parents who want custody, it's the grandparents. Anybody can actually claim the right of custody, but they'd have to go to court if you are not the one that the law says ikaw ang naay default custody. Some grandparents go to kuan because they hear nga ilahang anak ni biya ang for example ilahang anak is the dad of the child, so ang dad sa child gibiyaan iyahang former partner who is the mother of the child, gibiyaan sa daang bata. And then and this has happened a lot of times, and then this kaning kuan lady who is the single mom and has the custody of the child, nadunggan sa grandparents nga dili lang usa ka buok afam na misita sa iyang balay, daghan og mga afam nga na misita sa balay, unya babayi in town ilahang granddaughter. So ikaw as a grandparent, even if you know that your son did something wrong by abandoning his daughter, your grandchild, you also would not want the situation to remain the same. So
Yes.
mga tugid na sila dito sa barangay kay mo hangyo. And in some cases dito sa barangay pa lang musugot pud ang katungkuan kay na overwhelmed, di na ko kaya, kay baw ko nga maayo og especially if
Kaya ra sa
Bata pa.
grandparents.
o kaya ras grandparents, yung buntis ko karon lain na nga guy nga naglisod ko di na ko kaya ni, so musugot sad with na pwede magud na masabot-sabot, di ba ladies, pwede ra gyud na masabot-sabot ang visitation.
Actually, the family code also provides for just in case of death, absence, or unsuitability
Correct.
of both parents, the custody shall be substitute parental authority shall be exercised by the surviving grandparents.
Correct. Na
But
ato'y
the
balaod ang
enumeration,
law.
Yes.
Oo.
But we have to decide kung how the court will have to decide if unsuitable ba jud ang parents
Parents
in
or
this
not.
case. Kay let's say kay mo claim ka unsuitable.
Oh, diretso kag sulti, dili na siya. Bagay niya, it takes a lot baya for the court to say unsuitable, especially mama. Na ay mga decisions na dili na automatic maingon nga na nakailaing uyab, so di na ko ingon kay na siya laing uyab, unsuitable
Yes.
na.
There was actually a case decided upon by the Supreme Court nga ang lalaki ni file siya og habeas corpus for the custody of the child on the grounds that ang mama is already having a relationship with a lesbian.
Okay, interesting na.
Lagi.
But I've been getting the signal that it's time to pause for a few reminders from our friends. So we will be back. We will discuss what Attorney Estoy just mentioned right now regarding that case. Sige, we'll be back. And we are back. Before the break, Attorney S mentioned about a certain case where it is the father, illegitimate father, Attorney S, or the legitimate dad?
Legitimate.
Legitimate.
It's legitimate, yes. Gualberto versus Gualberto.
A legitimate dad questioned the custody of his wife over their minor child, and he cited the alleged immorality of his wife, who was having a relationship with her alleged lesbian lover. So, naka-affecto sa custody sa bata, Attorney S?
Actually, according to the Supreme Court, moral laxity is not a ground for itagkwaan ni mo custody sa bata ang mama. Maybe that's the case, moral laxity, or pero sexual preference is not actually a ground for to be called unfit or unsuitable to have the custody of the child.
So, dili siya gani igo nga rason,
Yes.
no? Because what if it could even be that both parties, the married mom and the married dad, have relationships with other people, and in so far as the court sees it, those are really illicit relationships, but that does not affect their suitability as parents. Either way, as
Doesn't constitute
legitimate
as
father, as legitimate mother, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not enough to get the custody of the child away from them and put it solely on one other person or one other parent, because you might not be fit in your marriage, but you could be a suitable enough parent.
Yes.
So it's the totality of the circumstances that
As
we see.
according to Attorney Merle, it's the totality of the circumstances. It doesn't daw represent parental neglect in this case, whether iyahang sexual preference or iyahang moral laxity sa iyahang marriage. It doesn't really affect the way she bring up her children.
Okay. Now, we are discussing, you are mentioning to us about married couples having custody or shared custody of children. How much more pa kung the couple wasn't married, the relationship went sour, to whom does the the illegitimate children automatically get awarded to, or to whom does the law see the illegitimate children belonging to?
As mentioned earlier sa family code jud, ang na-mention is that for illegitimate children, ang sole parental authority and custody should be with the mother.
The illegitimate mother.
Oh.
So unsa ni Attorney Merle, if you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Oh. So wa man nimo pakasli, so ang mga children out of that relationship automatic to asa
Mama.
Ang father ani, visitation rights.
Visitation rights lang jud.
or whatever the illegitimate mother will agree to, because
written
she
consent
has
pa jud
written
attorney.
consent written pa gyud nga consent, because kay kung naa pa sila kanang nga na agreement in principle, di pa gyud na siya ingon nga carved in stone, kay pwede pag mo change ang mind
Mind
sa
sa mother.
kay ang illegitimate mother na may exclusive parental authority, and with that comes the incidence of custody. So siya gyud gihapon ang magbuot. Naa gani ni mga cases, no, what if ang illegitimate mother ning larga og
Gawas.
abroad.
Yes.
Ang iyahang gitagaan og substitute parental authority kay iyahang
Grandparent.
ginikanan, so ang maternal grandparents
Grandparents sa bata.
nay mahimo ang guy wala gihapon.
Actually, this brings us to the next case to be discussed, which is Masbate versus Relucio.
Okay.
Nada chiki
Klaro yun na,
pangalan. Chiki pangalan.
Apelido, so illegitimate yun na
Legitimate
nga
yun
bata.
siya.
Sige.
Sa facts sa case manggod, the woman or the mother is estudyante pa, so nag-study pag dentistry. So, pero ang issue lang dyan kay ang custody manggod sa bata na nasa papadaan. So, they try to take it na jud by gikuha siya sa grandparents, sa maternal grandparents, kaya actually included sila sa case. It's Masbate and spouses Masbate. Yan na siya nga show.
Show.
So, gikuha, naghimog SPA ang mom, gihatagan niya og authority ang iyang grandparents to exercise her custody and parental authority over the child.
While she is absent because she is working abroad.
She's studying.
She's studying
for the meantime. So, murag ang iyang mag thinking is, I have to make my life better para mabuhay na ko kids. So, for the meantime, nga di pa ko okay, ako parent sa ang magbuhi, magkuhan sa akong bata. Karon the case was so peculiar kay ang custody sa bata na nasa papadaan, nya gikuha lang. So moto nga ang gibuhat sa papa mo to file siya writ of habeas corpus. In this case though, ang nahitabo kay ang RTC banking on the tender age presumption nga ang kanang bata basta ka below 7 years old diretso jud na sa mama. No question. Bisag na agod tato exception, pero wala sila nag full blown hearing ana. So ni decide diretso ang RTC ang family court ana nga time nga kanang sige sa mama jud ni siya. Na right ang grandparents o ang mama over the course kay illegitimate man ang bata. So pag saka ni sa Court of Appeals ni girmand sa Court of Appeals ang case balik sa RTC kay dapat
You should have a hearing.
Okay. Kay Relucio was questioning the suitableness of Masbate sa iyahang kanang pagkamama kay iya gud gibiyaan. Yan nagod sa grandparents. So dapat sa iya kay papa man.
Papa ko na siya.
So in the end, the Supreme Court decided na kanang yes, supposedly na adjud unta na full blown hearing nya ni question magud sad sila sa legal standing ni Relucio kay illegitimate father ba ya nya nowhere under the law nga magrantan og kanang custody ang papa kung unfit ang mama. Wala di kanang gi-mention about ni ana. So ang rely on sa court at to nga time is also under the family code but under substitute and special parental authority, which is if in case of kanang in default of the parents or sa illegitimate mother, na siya sunod-sunod.
Okay.
It should be the surviving grandparents, the eldest sister or brother, or the person who has the actual custody of the child. So over
So karon
years.
nakuha naman sa maternal grandparents, so they got to keep the child.
Ang decision sa korte adto attorney kay giremand jud siya sa RTC para mag full blown trial.
Yeah, I think more siya gipa-remand siya para ma-determine if
Unfit ba? Okay. Di ba, for compelling reasons, you can question it. You can take the custody from the mother if unfit. Ang mother for compelling mga ana lang.
Okay. So, mura to siya, wait. We have to have a hearing first on the case kung who should have the
Custody of the child.
over the child.
Dapat kitagaan jud daw kung a day in court resolution to prove nga unfit jud ang mama si Masbate. Nahitabo ba sa good ani attorney kay sa Court of Appeals wa pa naghearing per grants like temporary custody, which ani ana ang Supreme Court nga di jud unta dapat naghearing jud unta dapat.
So dili jud siya absolute attorney nga ang tender, I mean if illegitimate dito sa mama ang
Dili na
Dili,
as
kaya ang
always
pinaka-paramount, it's always best interest of the child. So, even if parents mong duha legitimate pa na, pero
unfit gani mo.
unfit mo kay ang usa na priso, ang usa gifaila nag kaso kay kanang
Drug addict ba ka ha?
drug addict pa ka or ana na impetisyon. So asa man na ibutang, di na pwedeng barkada ato nilang duha even if they have actual custody adto gina sa first katong grandparents, sunod oldest
brother or
siblings.
sister, yeah.
And then the person who has actual
Last na ni ang katong actual guardian de facto.
or institution, di ba?
Institution of a
Ward of the
guardianship.
state.
Okay. We were mentioning earlier regarding possible custody cases being in dispute because of abusive relationships between the parents. Naabay, aside from this rule on child custody, is there any other law or rule by the courts nga maka-adjudicate kung asa mahatag ang bata
custody. That is
with
also,
when it comes to katong abusive relationships.
actually the topic is being covered under RA number 9262 or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Children Act. So regarding the custody, if na gani physical and psychological violence sa bata sad, so the custody is automatically granted to the mother. Nya apil na siya sa protection order nga i-grant sa mom.
We are talking about protection orders sa RA 9262. It's the VAUSI law and yet ni touch gyapon on
Custody.
child custody. So under the protection order rule under RA 9262, when the court grants a protection order to protect the woman from the abuses of her partner, the partner can be a man or a woman, the victim is always a woman in RA 9262 or her children. So aside from the protective orders na stay away, refrain from harassing, refrain from threatening, contacting further harm,
Financial support.
financial support, and also use of common or conjugal na property, dwelling, shelter. Appeal jud din ha ang custody of minors. So kung kana mahimo ng point of away-away, like for example, the woman victim of a battering relationship had to flee from the home because she was afraid for her life, wa siya nabitbit nga bata. And then when she comes back a week or so later in order, because of course the woman misses her children and would like to see how they are, or she might even have decided nga dalhon na ni nako because I found a place to live in. And then when she goes there to get to her children or see her children, dili siya i-allow. Kay ang usual linya ana, ikaw mo nilayas, you get to you lose them. When you left them, you lose them. Mo na usual linya sa mga kaning
Abusive na
mga partners nga appeal pud na ba to control her actions
and
no, para
decisions.
makauli siya sa balay. So the court could actually grant a protection order nga ang custody sa mga bata adto gyud sa mama. Nya na moingon ra ba sa nang ubang kwan di na siya maka suporta, di ba na siya makabuhi. Is the lack of a job a reason for to deprive her of custody of her children because she lacks a job?
Actually, no. Especially if na-adjoy ka ng history of violence ang lalaki and abusive mannerisms niya. Dili jud as we have discussed earlier, ang importante jud is ang best interest of the child. If it is best interest of the child nga nasa siyang mama and malayo siya sa ingana nga abusive nga environment, so of course kwaon jud ang bata sa mama.
Okay.
And
this reminds me of one provision under RA 9262 on the battered women syndrome. Ang battered woman, even if she may be suffering from clinical disorders like post-traumatic stress or battered woman syndrome, she's not disqualified from having custody of her children. But, klaro kay ang law na, in no case shall the perpetrator of a woman suffering from battered woman syndrome have custody for the children. So, remember this, mga moms and dads out there, kuidaw, pag hinay-hinay lang sa inyuhang tendency to lose your temper and berate and abuse your significant others, kay maskin pa og kamo mo'y nagunit sa purse strings, that doesn't follow nga
nasa inyong
kamo
custody sa bata.
mo'y magunit sa bata, because the woman is entitled to both custody and support. So mingon wa man na siya kwarta, di siya makasuporta, mo bitaw nang mangayo mig suporta ninyo.
Required gyapon ka mo hatag support.
Masking dili ko kakita sa bata, masking pa kay basig ang court will see that you are too violent to be trusted with your children.
A word of advice lang, if nagay mo yung anger management, please seek help.
Seek help. Yes, please seek help niya. Sometimes it could be substance abuse related, because there is this one case, trial court judge ni, it's not even Supreme Court the pronouncement but she told us the parties, if I find out that one of you is having problems with substance abuse, no way will I give you even visitation. Fix your problem first. Fix your problem first. Lisod man. You would be driven by your chemical demons.
Yes.
Luoy magud kayong bata, attorney, kung ingana kanang na substance abuse niya, abusive pa jud, physically abusive pa jud ang usa ka parent. So ipit jud permente ang bata ni ana.
So basically ang point ra gid or ang pinaka-important yun kay consider gid kung unsay mas maayo sa bata, kung unsay best
Mas maayo
interest.
sa
Dili
bata.
kay
issues sa mga parents.
best interest is doesn't always mean nga ikaw dapat ang maka-provide financial acuity, charot. Kanang financial wellness or kanang, although ikaw ang earn sa income, that doesn't mean nga ang bata ang custody sa bata na adjud sa imo. Kay tungod ikaw
is not enough.
Especially for very young children or children below 7, na amang gudin ha ang pinaka crucial nga developmental stages sa bata, and it has been found that the absence of a mother or a mother figure in those crucial stages dako jud kayog effect sa bata later on. In the
So
long
maybe
run.
mo tali nga naantang tender age presumption.
The tender age presumption, mo extend pag yun ang tender age presumption when it comes to children with special needs. Kaya kung
correct.
children with special needs, adto yun na automatically sa mama.
Even if above 7 na siya, diba?
Even if above 7, ang uban niya even if above 18. Kay kanang na ay special nga panginahanglan ang bata. The law presumes that it's only the mother who can understand her or him the best sa iyang needs. And then basig naguna-una lang pud ang uban no na walay criminal aspect kaning away-away sa custody. Anyway, sige, pakihaan lang na sila og custody na ba ning anak. Sige, like, usahay mag-uulta kaning mga sobraan ka caring nga mga lolo ug lola. Sobraan ka caring nga murag ning
Overlap na sila.
overlap na sila, overbreath na sila sa ilahang pagkalola ug lolo sa unang panahon common man na, di ba? Even if na ay mama ug papa, even if the mama and the papa are living together, kuhaon sa lola ang apo. Ayaw mo kay wa mo'y mga bata kay mo, wa mo'y mga buot. Kami ang mo take care.
Naglisod mo, di mo kabuhi sa inyo ko gananon.
Sabi na, wala na sila iling na.
Labi na ka ng empty nester na yun. Ay, nakabulingit ang akong apo. Dili mo fit, mga ginikanana mo. Kuhaon, bit-biton. Dili iuli ang bata. Unsa may mahitabuana. We will discuss that when we return after a few messages and reminders from our friends. We'll be back. Stay tuned. Back. Prior to the break, na ay gi-mention si Attorney S nga tender age presumption rule. Where does this tender age presumption rule apply? Can you explain?
Yes, need lang na mo i-clarify that tender age presumption rule, which is no children under 7 years of age shall be separated from the mother unless the court finds compelling reasons to order otherwise. This rule is only applicable for those children that have parents nga married pa. Dili pa although separated pero married jud sila. O kanang nag-dispute na sa custody and then magsabot na kung asa ang mga bata, di ba kayo usually mag-away, o sige ako ni si Kuan, mag-discuss man, pero ang general rule is that basta kay 7 years old and below gani na jud ang custody sa mama.
So this refers to legitimate children. Because ang illegitimate children,
sole parental authority
ang mama. So whether above 7, below 7, or above 18 but with special needs, at gihapon sa mama, basta illegitimate ang bata. Okay. Yeah. Before we took a break also, we were discussing about kaning mga grandparentals nga usahay masubrahan. Murag sila na mo'y ganahan nga naay katungod sa bata. Kay kaning bayhana way trabaho, ang akong anak way puangod, daghan sa kuan kaning sila dili ni sila pwede himuong ginikanan. Mas maayo na lang ni akong apo dinhi tan-awa, wala na kagid tan-awa na nambok ang bata. Unya iadto sa mama kay kuhaon ang bata, dili na uli. Unsay possible consequences ani kung ingon kinahanglan di ay og declaration sa court nga custody, pakihaa lang na siya, tan-aw na tong kasugakod ba o kiha king ana ba yan na usahay, especially if kanang taas-taas nag-edad ang grandparents, taas-taas og estado sa komunidad, they think automatically di man na ka lahutay, di man nakakaso. Unsay danger ana Attorney S? I mean, on the criminal aspect.
I think ay mo ni siya ang pasabot ni attorney sa revised penal code, di ba, na may crimes na gitawag na kanang kidnapping or failure to return a minor, na sa gitawag na inducement of a minor to abandon the home. So kana mahog jud siya na
siya felony. What you are actually doing is a crime. So, grandparentals, think hard about it. Kay base niya, it's a continuing offense, ha? dadaan labi nagdadaan mo og mga pulis sa mama sa inyong balay nga ingnon mo nga kuhaon unta amo lang gi-eskorta ning mama kay para makuha niya balik ang iyahang anak. Di na nang pasudlon. Musod gani mo dinhi, trespass to dwelling mo, panghawa mo, di na mo iuli among bata. You're committing the crime actually in flagrante delicto.
Yes.
Pwede mo dakpon diha sa pulis. Kay failure to return custody of a child, and that is under Article 27, I'm not mistaken, 274 of the revised penal code, and that is punishable by the non-bailable penalty of reclusion perpetua.
So,
Ouch. So, hinay-hinay
Yes.
lang.
Bisag way kwarta ihatag sa gilikanan ang kuan ha bata. Oh.
Yeah, i-question lang later kay pwede man gyud mo makaadtog first
Yeah.
adto og barangay kay makig-settle on maskig visitation, shared custody or whatever kay whatever you also enter, any agreement you enter also into the barangay nga naay amicable settlement, do remember that amicable settlements entered into at the barangay became final and executory. They have the force and effect of a final and executory judgment if after 10 days wala ma-disputed. Wala gi pa-revoke or
Wala gibag-o.
wala gibag-o or wala gidispute nga di ko yun ana after all kay what was I thinking, I was not well informed enough, so but di man yun na usually ma-revoke within 10 days, so it becomes mura siya Supreme Court judgment kay final and executory. So at least kung agita sa barangay, agita sa korte, naagyo tay desisyon.
yes, and actually more ang point po ni attorney kay na the law provides different remedies ba you do not take the law into your own
On hands kay naay balaod.
Yeah, so na way kung sa imong gusto mahitabo na ay law to guide you or to
guide
provide remedy.
Oh, if you do really find that the parents of the child is unfit to be to exercise parental authority or custody, makakuha custody sa bata. So, try to file a case
File a case in court.
Dili lang tawag pagahiay niya maghuwat nga tawagan pa jud pulis.
Mo gyud nang linya no kaya lang.
Oh.
Kaya lang tanaw na tong kalahutay ba mo?
Oh, ina na jud.
Teleserye ba di?
Oh, nya ma-shot na hinuon sa libaong. Patay da. Lisod na kaayong ko ana.
Grabe nang gubot ang in the end ang bata bayag yapoy luoy basta
Yeah.
kay mga nga gubot attorney.
Kay makitaan ang bata nga maghilak na lang kay ang ilahang lula ug lulo nga palangga nila gi priso, gidalas prisuhan yung ilahang mama nga palangga pud nila gahilak na upset na. So luoy ang
Child in the end.
Bata ana. Okay. Now we're done with talking about what are the protective remedies under 9262. But ang akong pangutana, are there also protection orders regarding the child which may not be under 9262 but under some other provision of law or rule of the court?
Actually, naad gihapoy not permanent but protection order under the rules of custody of minors and writ of habeas corpus in relation to child custody. Actually,
So ang protection order, it's not only
Bawsihan.
kanang bawsihan. So naa po di ay na siya in the rule on custody of
minors and writ of
Mm.
habeas corpus. The same na jud gihapon siya nga kanang relief nga makuha nimo from vowsy law. Ang protection order under sa rules on custody of minors, the same na gihapon, to stay away from the home, school, business of the child or the place of employment sa kanang minor o sa kadtong nagdala sa iyang custody, cease and desist from harassing and intimidating to kanang para i-give up ang kanang custody.
Kasi sa bata.
Yes, refrain from acts of commission or omission to create unreasonable risk, and also permit a parent or party entitled to visitation by a court or a separation agreement to visit the minor at stated periods. So pwede man ma-withheld ang kanang visitation. It's not really kanang
So this is actually the answer, no? Kung pananglitan, mas bintaha if the woman claiming the petitioner claiming custody is the woman unya naay kanang abusive relationship between her and her respondent kay naa may klaro man gyud kay
Yeah.
protection order sa RA 9262. But what if on the other hand it is the dad who wants to seek custody over his children because ang iyahang custodian ex-wife or iyang custodian ex-partner, even though the kids are with her and they're of a young age, dili gyud ka ng fit. And then even if naanay ka ng naanay pronouncements of the court nga siya mo'y naay custody, still the mother would come back again and again and try to
Get the child.
get the child. Pwede gid ay ang dad mo file for a protection order under the child custody rule. Kay we cannot discount man sad nga sometimes it is the mother who is abusive and disruptive.
Actually,
no, like
there are also instances.
and then sometimes the mother would get the child only so she could ask money
For support,
Yeah.
gikan sa father.
sa father, and then pasagdan ra ang
Bata.
bata. Ganahan kag iuli gaisa ko og kwarta. Murag sa ko
Or
ani na siya.
ihimong i-hostage
Blackmail.
ihimong
Yes.
i-hostage ang bata, ang well-being sa
Hostage,
bata para lang matagaan og money pang sustain to siyang bisyo.
Bisyo.
correct.
Usually it's these mothers who themselves are battling their own demons and addictions, whether na addict sa sugal, na addict sa drugs or some other unhealthy nga kanang
Addiction.
practice. Yeah, muna dayon na di man sila ka control, so they try to get whatever leverage they can. Usay ang mga bata mo'y affected. Unya kanang we can really ask the court to step in and issue these protection orders because any party man under the child custody rule
as long as na kay actual custody or inaana jud sa imong custody although dili ka ang parent.
Kay rights.
although dili ka ang
Dili ka ang parent.
like for instance naman sa certain case where even you can't even if you're the parent dili ka kadiretso nga mo habeas corpus ko kadili nimo ihatag ang bata nako kay ako ra ba ang mama. Ako
Pero,
ang mama. Pero gibilin di ay niya ang bata at childbirth sa ilang silingan. Niya wala na. Wala na balika. Of course, karon ang bata na ana sa 6 years old, kalitan lang nimo balik niya may
Kuwao lang
habeas
nimo.
corpus. Ikaw di sa gyapon na pwede because
Or either ang court naka-issue na jud o naka-assign na guardian ad litem sa over sa bata ni kalit lang pakita ang biological mom.
Mom, niya mo diretso rag ingon nga ako na ni dili
Ako
sad
rin
na
ikaw
gyud.
na bata kay ako ang mama.
Dili sad na pwede niya ma-shock sad ang inyuhang anak-anak.
Again, best interest with
Best interest of the child. Ha? Dili di ay
Di man
kani sila
ikaw.
ako mama. Kasi mo na
correct.
she has never seen your face before. So muna nga even in custody cases there are protection orders for the protection of the child. So kung dili mo haom sa 9262, kuha og protection order under the child custody rule.
Daghan tay as Attorney Merle said earlier, daghan tay kanang daghan paagi para makuha nato ang custody sa bata. If ang ato jud kinuna is the best interest of the child. So dili lang vowsy na atay rules on child custody na sa mga criminal cases against sa mga perpetrators or respondents.
By the way, naa may mga instances nga ang bata gusto ilarga og naing
gawas.
nasod kay all our laws in general apply within the territorial jurisdiction of the Philippines. Ang kuyaw ana kay what if ilarga sa gawas.
Mo ni nakanindot sa rules sa child custody kay nagyapon sila provision regarding whole departure order.
We think nga ang whole departure order kay
For
para ra
criminal-
criminal cases but yet naasad siya under the rule on
Child
child
custody.
custody. So even if ako pananglitan general rule, illegitimate mother can always take her child anywhere because I have exclusive parental authority. So let's just say ako illegitimate mother ko unya kanang for the longest time ang ako ang ex-partner but nagbulag na mi, father of my child, makabisita sa ako ang anak. Nya, ning decide lang ko diretso dayon nga mo-migrate ko og Australia. Kunya ang ako ang ex-partner ni ingon nga time sa magsabot sa tasa kanang who has custody of the child. In the first place diri baya na nagskwela diri nagdako ihang kanya imo niya ako unsay mahitabo nako. So he decides to file a custody case. Can he ask for the temporarily lang ipa-hold departure ang bata until masettle ang custody issue nila?
Yes, actually,
Yes.
diba the rules, kaning child custody rules mismo, nag-ingon na kanang the child subject of the custody case kanang cannot be brought outside the country without the court order, without a prior court order. So, munang nasa section 16.
16, yes.
Child
Maka-decide jud actually ang court ex parte, like without any
Without any motion.
without any
Yeah.
motion
Siya
from
na lang
the
nakuyaw,
petitioner
ano,
mismo o mukuan dahil ng court niya maghatag dahil na silang notice sa Bureau of Immigration.
Ayaw sa ni palargahang bata kay galalis pa ang
ginikanan.
Ginikanan, panaguman.
para kay kung malargan hindi wa na ko decidean kay wa naman sa ako ang jurisdiction ang bata. So makalingaw kaayo ning Supreme Court rules on child custody no, and this has been around since kano sa agani
2003.
since 2003, so it predates even RA 9262. Oo. So since custody can be granted by the courts, even visitation rights could also be granted by the court.
In fact, gani as the case will be ongoing, maka-decide gani ang court kung asa ibutang temporarily ang custody sa bata.
So even the court can make temporary
custody
provisions.
and,
No?
yes, temporary custody and also visitation rights. Pero dapat nag-ongoing na ang hearing.
Uy, interesting kaayo ang ato ang discussion, but we are given the signal that we only have like a few more minutes left. So before we say our final greetings to our friends, kay naa po tayo pang congratulate kay this has been a very busy weekend for Celia and IBP. Can I ask for your last messages or parting words? First, Attorney Merle.
Yes, first of all, thank you jud kayo sa pag-invite nako here. I really had fun and kanang fruitful kay nga decision ba nga discussion rather, because it is very rampant po, common sad siya diri sa atong society, especially for teenage moms. So very very relevant jud siya nga topic. So thank you kayo sa pag-invite nako here, and salamat po sa mga suki nga tigtan-aw aning Celia's and partners-in-law na talk show. Thank you so much for having me.
We hope this won't be the last time. This might be the first time, Attorney Merle.
Yes,
But you know, Celia has a habit ra ba nga once mag-guess ma-anchor na.
Balik-balikon ba?
Oh my gosh, yung mag-andam
So it won't be the last. We hope, Attorney S.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me para ani nga show, Attorney Irene, and it's also an opportunity to share the knowledge nga kani nga message maabot sa atong mga abuse survivors sa atong mga sa atong nasod diri sa Cebu. And for those who have questions regarding custody and also support and abuse sa atong mga kababainhan, please visit our office, Legal Alternatives for Women Center Incorporated rather, and it's in Jan E. Chavez in Eldas Apartment, Door 3. So maghuwat lang mi ninyo dito, matabangan na jud ta mo. Kami di ay kami makatabang na ninyo.
You can ask also because we have several referrals for Law Inc. nga gikan gyud sa CCTN mismo ning walk-in because they heard about it sa CCTN. You can also ask for our complete contact details, and I think it will be also flashed on the screen. The Legal Alternatives for Women Center Inc. We provide free legal and psychosocial services to women victims of abuse, and the abuse is not just physical, it could be psychological psychological and emotional, and what could be more psychologically hurting than to be deprived of the custody of one's
Correct.
child or to not feel secure about
And
it.
also support, financial support sa
And
inyong
also
mga bata.
financial support para sa mga bata, because those two, support and custody, are not incompatible with each other. They can be granted both together. Before we end, I would just like to congratulate several lawyers organizations in Cebu had their elections and cast their votes. Ang atong beloved Celia already has a new set of officers under the presidency of Attorney Regal Oliva. Congratulations, Sister Celians. And ang atong IBP Cebu City and IBP Cebu Province chapters also have their new set of officers because they had their election just last Saturday,
yes.
February 25. Ang Celia was February 24. So we had a very exciting weekend actually in Cebu for the lawyers. So congratulations to Attorney Michael Francis Hubahib for his uncontested presidency and his board and his officers also.
Si Mike
for
ang
IBP, si Mike ang bahala for IBP Cebu Province Chapter. Now for Cebu City, we also wish to extend our congratulations to Attorney Jimbo Hernaez. Congrats, Attorney Jimbo. My prayer for this new set of officers is that you will continue in the uplifting and the elevating of the standards of the legal practice and legal camaraderie between us lawyers in the community, particularly in Cebu. So, maayong gabi natong tanan, and this has been your anchor, Attorney Irene Ann Caballo. Salamat kaayo sa inyuhang paglantaw sa amo ang programa. God bless us all.